Okay. All right. Hi, all. All right. Good evening to all of you. So basically, without any hesitation, lah. Okay, we'll start the seminar immediately. Okay. So welcome to my seminar. All right. So before we officially start everything, I'll roughly brief you all what is going to happen. Okay, in your upcoming science exam, lah. So since it is your first science exam ever, okay, in your secondary school, okay. So you have to prepare, lah. Okay. Wait, ah. Okay, roughly you have to prepare something before you proceed to the exam lah. All right. So basically, we talk about the structure first, in case you don't know what's going to happen lah. All right. So your science exam will be happening. Okay, with three different sections. Okay, you got section A, you got section B, and you got section C. Okay, so usually different schools comes with different marks or location. Okay, but usually lah, you got 20 questions of section A, okay, which is coming with objective. Okay, so like you have to choose from these four options, so A, B, C, D. Okay, so section B usually will be your fill in the blanks, okay, or else like a mix and match, okay, or underline. Okay, usually section B goes to this simple questions lah. Okay, they give you options, you fill in the blanks. Okay, so for section C, okay, it will be a different thing. Okay, you have to answer questions in sentence. Okay, you have to answer in sentences. You have to uh write sentence, give points. Okay, you have to read the questions. Okay, different. Okay, different from section A and section B. So of course, the marks portion, right? Okay, will be more on section C as well. Okay, section C will be holding more portion as in marks lah compared to A and B. All right. So this is what happening lah. Okay, total marks you have in your paper is 100 lah. Okay, so the total marks is 100. So basically, before we talk about the exercises, right? Okay, I'll roughly tell you what am I going to do today. Okay, so basically my session 1.5 hour, I'll just simply go through exercises. Okay, I will not tell you what is important, what is not important, because I'll just tell you here, right immediately. Within 1 minute, I can cover everything. Okay, that you have to know which part to study. All right. So to do revision, basically your own effort matters as well. Okay. You got three things in your material, right? Okay. You have your notes. Okay. You have your objectives. You have your subjective questions. Correct or not? Okay. So whenever you do preparation, right? Okay. Notes is not your priority. Okay. I'll give you the numbering. Okay. You have to prioritize your subjective first. Okay, and then followed by your objective, then lastly, only until your notes. Okay, your notes is basically helping you on memorizing. Okay, so your notes is only helping you to memorize. Okay, memorize about what? Memorize about the names. I'll give you the thing to memorize. Names, functions. Okay, their similarities and differences. Okay, you focus on these things in your notes only. Okay, so which means you can just ignore literally everything lah. Okay, you focus on the names, functions, similarities, and differences. But you have to make sure you know what you are memorizing. You cannot be like, oh, okay, nucleus, mitochondria, cell membrane, cell wall. Okay, I just memorize the names and I memorize the functions, but I don't want to understand everything. Then cannot lah. You must memorize and comes with some understanding. Okay, so literally chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Okay, we got a lot of things to go through. Their names, their function, we got a lot. Okay, you have to go through their names and functions. All right, so those are quite important lah. Which this is why I will not go through like those notes with you, because notes is just telling you what to memorize and what not to memorize. So you can filter by yourself. Names and functions, you focus on these things. Okay, so once you go through the names and functions already, right, you memorize, you understand already. Okay, you put effort on objective. Okay, if you are too lazy to go through the subjective, right, you put effort on the objective. You roughly spend some time to complete at least half of the objective questions. Okay, just complete roughly half of the objective questions and it'll be good to go. Okay, so if you talk about subjective, right? Okay, subjective, this is the most important one. Okay, in my opinion, okay, it's the most important one. You have to spend most time on your subjective part. Okay, so not to say like you have to complete the question by yourself. Okay, of course if it is possible for you to go through the questions by your own, then it's the best But basically for subjective, right, I want you to at least read the questions. Okay, you read the questions and you ask yourself, do I know the answer? Okay, you ask yourself whether you know the answer or not. If you don't know the answer, you proceed to your notes and you figure out the answer. If you already know the answer and you are very certain about the answer, you can skip to the next question. So this is why we give you so much questions, right? Okay, for your preparation. So you just roughly read through, oh, I know this answer. Okay, next part. I know this answer. I know this answer. Okay, I skip to the next question. So you continue this process until you finish the entire subjective. So if you have enough time to go through, okay, you can write answers down in the question, and then it will be the best But if you got no time already, right? Running out of time, not enough time, then at least you read the question. This one is the most important part among all the notes and objectives. Okay, let's say you memorize all the names and functions already, but you don't understand what is the question asking about. You still lose the marks. You got me? So not to say like memorizing the names and function will be the everything. Okay, this is not the thing to prioritize. Okay, so you have to prioritize the subjective. Read the questions, understand the question, you get familiar with the questions already, only you proceed to the notes Okay, so this is how we deal with revision part. All right, so yeah, uh so today I'm going to focus everything, okay, my time literally everything on your subjective only. Okay, so you proceed to your notes, sorry, not notes, exercise. Okay, and we'll do some questions together, and I'll just talk about the section C, like in this part You turn to page, where was it Bahagian B. Okay, you look at your question number, question number 6. Found it. All right. So my seminar will be covering both languages Okay, so Mandarin and sorry, not Mandarin. Sorry, English and Malay. Okay, and BM So to cope with different languages. Okay, so just use whichever language you need Okay, if you use English, you just ignore BM. Okay, so one important part in your section C is first, like chapter 1 Okay, among chapter 1 is science. What is science? Okay, basically, if the question asks you about definition, right? Usually, if the question asks you about definition, don't get panic. Okay, don't get anxious. Okay, so basically, just give keywords. Okay, whenever they ask you definition, right, which means they want you to construct a sentence based on the keywords. So science, just need to give some keywords. And you make it into a sentence. So what is science? The keyword is observation, experiment, and natural phenomena. Okay, you just combine these three words into a sentence. That will be the definition of science. Okay, so I'll show you an example. So basically, what is science? So you can say science is an observation and experiment on natural phenomena. Full stop. This is how you answer the questions. Okay, answer the definition as in. Alright, science adalah pemerhatian dan eksperimen atas fenomena semula jadi. Okay, so including what questions will be asking? They will ask you about that define density. Okay, define density, define cell respiration. Okay, whichever they ask you these kind of things just put in the keywords and make it into a sentence. Okay, so the second thing you have to know is the career. Career related to science okay, scientific field. So let's say chemistry. Chemistry, you can be forensic scientist in future. Biology relate to botanist. Physics refers to engineer. Okay, so you have to roughly know what career will be involved in different field in science. Okay, so roughly go through the names lah. How about C? This one is quite important as well. Okay, for this part, right, the question will ask you to estimate. The keyword is estimate. Okay, you know what's the meaning of estimate, right? Just roughly get the figure. Okay, roughly get the figure of the area. So if the question comes with estimation on area, right, actually it's quite simple. Okay, just look at the diagram given and you just tick the boxes that is more than half. Okay, tick the boxes that is occupied more than half in an area. So let's have example Okay, for each square, for each box, okay, it will be 1 cm square. Because the question is given by the scale 1 cm times 1 cm. So for each boxes, the area will be 1 cm square. Okay, so just tick off how many boxes that is occupied more than half. Okay, so let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, so on and so forth. You complete everything. Okay, I went through this question just now in my previous seminar, so I know the answer already. So the answer is 44 lah. You'll get 44 cm square. But the question asks you to show your calculation as well. So you cannot simply write 44 cm square only. You have to show your calculation, which is 44 times 1 cm square equals to 44 cm square. So this is how you show the calculation together with the answer. All right. So if the question ever asks you to estimate the area and show you the boxes like this, right? Remember, you just tick those who is more than half. It will be your answer. Okay. So for the second part, this one is a bit kebat. Kebat question means critical thinking question. You need to think about it. Then you write down the answer. So the question is given in this way. You investigate two butterflies. Okay, so zoologist gave you the result as improper data. Okay, so you cannot use the data to make conclusion. So the question is, can he alter the result? Give reason and suggest the method, blah, blah, blah. So 3 marks is given here. You have to do marks allocation before you answer this complicated question lah. Okay, this question is considered quite difficult among Form 1. So 3 marks, how you score the 3 marks? This is your first question. Can he alter the result? Give a reason. Second answer. Okay, second question. Suggest the method. Okay, to get a more reliable and accurate result. So this is the third answer. Alright, so you got 3 questions to answer. Okay, so you answer these 3 questions to get 3 marks. So can he alter the result? The answer is no. 1 mark. So why? Give a reason. Why? Because it does not fit into scientific attitude. Okay, it does not fit into scientific attitude. Okay, whenever we do scientific experiment, right? Okay, we have to always follow the scientific attitude. All right. So since it is not following the scientific attitude, how do we do okay to get more reliable result? So the method will be he can do, not to say do lah, he can repeat the experiment for a few times to get accurate result. All right, so this is how we answer those kebat questions lah. Okay, so the answer is tidak, ia tidak mematuhi sikap saintifik. Okay, dia boleh mengulang eksperimen berapa kali untuk keputusan yang tepat. Full stop. So whenever it comes to the answering part, right? Okay, there are few things that needed to be highlighted lah. Okay, so first thing first, never copy the question. Okay, so you can say like you can try to make the answer complete, but do not copy the question, as in repeating the question lah. Okay, can he alter the result? Okay, you can just write no instead of no, he cannot alter the result. Okay, the reason behind is because it does not fit into the scientific attitude. So the suggestion of the method that can be used to get a more reliable and accurate result is repeating the experiment for a few times to get accurate result. So you keep on repeating the thing, Okay, if you keep on repeating the question, right? The cons will be what? The disadvantage will be you are wasting your time. Okay, the entire session for your exam is around 1.5 hours. If you spend your time on not calculating, on repeating the question, right? It'll be very time consuming and you'll be lacking time, okay, to complete the entire paper lah. So to make sure you have sufficient time to do your exam paper, right? Okay, do not copy the question. Okay, you can use certain words that come from question, but we don't repeat the question lah. Okay, I'll show you further example later. So state two scientific attitude, right? Okay, and the values that need to be practiced, blah blah blah. So to get accurate conclusion, what you have to obey as in scientific attitude. So we make it short. The first one is positive attitude on experiment. Okay, so you just straight away write the answer. Don't be like, the scientific attitude and value that need to be practiced, blah, 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 until conclusion is positive attitude on experiment. Can you see the difference? Okay, I write the answer immediately, okay, instead of copying the question, is saving more time. So I can think more answer and I can give better answer on the other questions. Okay, because you repeat the question, right, doesn't give you marks one. Some people, they are doing this mistake lah. Okay, so please don't do the same thing in your exam. Don't repeat the question. So beside positive attitude on experiment, the other one is repeat the experiment few times. Oh, sorry. This one is the previous answer. Okay. The other one is honest. Be honest on the result. As in scientific attitude, you can also be honest on the result. Okay, like don't cheat on the result lah. So you can get a better and accurate result. Okay, so sikap positif pada eksperimen. Jujur atas keputusan. Okay, so the next one. Okay, question number 7. Roughly go through the name of apparatus matters as well. Okay, you need to memorize all the names of the apparatus. So let's say if you want to contain liquid chemicals, you want to you want to keep the chemicals, right? The 3 apparatus, you have to mention their names. Okay, the first one is test tube. Okay, so the second one will be your beaker, conical flask. You want to say conical flask also can, round bottom flask also can, boiling tube also can. Basically, they all share the function that used to contain liquid chemicals lah. Alright? So, as in BM, tabung uji, bikar, kelalangkon. Name matters. So if you feel like these names looks like a bit strange to me, okay, I never know these names before, then it's time. Okay, it's time for you to go through memorize the name already. Okay, which means you're not so familiar lah. Okay, so spend some time on the names. Okay, so the next one, okay, Mr. Lim wants to heat up 50 ml of chemical liquid ethanol from a bottle, name the technique. So name the technique and draw the hazard symbol. So the hazard symbol as well, we got few hazard symbol. Okay, irritation, poisonous, radiation. Okay, so explosive. All those hazard symbol you have to know. Okay, and maybe it'll be coming out in your objective lah. Okay, so basically the technique used to heat up the ethanol is what? Is what we so call water bath. Okay, water bath. This one is extra lah. Not happen in your textbook nor your notes. Okay, so in BM is what is called as kukusan air. Alright, so which means we heat ethanol below the boiling point of water. So you can separate ethanol from water lah. Okay, but ethanol itself, right, it's flammable. Okay, ethanol is actually what? Alcohol. If in case you don't know lah. Okay, ethanol is actually alcohol. Yes, question. Is it okay if I put double boiling method? Double boiling method is not so appropriate lah, I would say. Water bath method is the best answer. Okay, yeah. So the hazard symbol here, okay, refers to flammable because ethanol is actually alcohol. So alcohol is flammable. You have to draw the fire out lah. Okay. My drawing skill is not so good, but this one is the symbol. Okay. So down here, again, the question will ask you to mention the name of apparatus. Okay. So you have to roughly mention it lah. So could this apparatus heat up semi-solid material? Explain your answer. Same. Okay. In one sentence, right? Oh, sorry. In one question, right? It comes with 3 different parts. Name the apparatus. Can it used to be heat up the semi-solid material? And you give your explanation. So total is 3 questions, 3 marks. So you have to answer lah. Basically, okay, the apparatus is what is so called crucible with lid. Okay, this one is the formal one, but if you don't like, right, your notes also give you the other option, which is evaporating dish. Okay, so we got 2 answers lah. Alright, so could this apparatus heat up semi-solid material? The answer is no. Okay, it cannot be used to heat up semi-solid material. Explain your answer. Okay, because it is basically used to evaporate. Okay, liquid from mixture. Okay, basically this thing is not used to boil or heat up something lah. It is used to evaporate something out of the mixture. Okay, so you can answer based on this method okay. No, it cannot be used to heat up semi-solid material. So no need to write a long sentence just to score 1 mark lah. Okay, shorten your answer. Okay, straight into the point. Alright. So for D, between retort stand and tripod stand, which is more suitable to heat up chemical substance? Explain your answer. So you choose one of the option and you give explanation. So basically, retort stand and tripod stand, right? Okay, we'll prefer to use tripod stand. Why? because retort stand is not so stable as compared to tripod stand. Retort stand is this thing, in case you don't know lah. This is what is so-called retort stand. Okay, we are using this thing to clip the test tube here. Okay, so basically we use this thing to support the test tube. Okay, so in case, because test tube, right, you cannot just randomly put the test tube or boiling tube here and there. You must need something to support it, to hang it. Otherwise, the chemical will spill out and you'll cause some hazard lah. All right. So to avoid this thing to happen, you want to hit something, right? We use tripod stand, because tripod stand got a space down here to heat up something. So one thing is used to support only, but the other one got a space down there to heat up something. So in between, which more suitable? Tripod stand is more suitable lah. Okay, so the answer is tripod stand, full stop. Why? Because it has a space to heat up chemicals, full stop. So again lah, we straight into the point. Okay, no need to answer in a long sentence. Okay, so penyangga tripod. So you see, for those who are using BM, right? Okay, the names given in the question, right, somehow is different from the names given in notes. Okay, it often happens in the exam one. All right. So in this case, tripod stand is like penyangga tripod, and the other name is like tungku kaki tiga. Correct not? Tripod stand in BM is called as tungku kaki tiga. But which one you prefer? Okay, in exam, we always follow the name comes from question. If question is given penyangga tripod, then we use back the name given in question, penyangga tripod. Okay, so ia ada ruang di bawah untuk pemanasan kimia. Okay, you have a space down there used to heat up the chemicals lah. Alright, so E, I just mentioned before, right? Whenever you start doing preparation, whenever you study the notes, you memorize names, functions, similarities, and differences, correct or not? So you see, basically, names, functions are mentioned earlier. The similarity and differences will be asked as well. So in between burette and pipette, right? What are the difference between them? Okay, so basically, burette, okay, this thing, right? Back to the notes, Okay, burette and pipette, the big difference coming down here is burette allows the water to drop out. Okay, like the keyword is drop out. So you open the tap, okay, the water will drop out one by one. So it is used to measure the liquid in a way more accurately. Okay, but pipette is not letting the liquid to drop out or something, This is what we use to measure a fixed volume. Let's say now I want to do an experiment, comes with 50 ml. Okay, 50 ml, not too much, not too less. Then I need to prepare 50 ml. I just simply use pipette lah. I just fill the pipette until this level, I'll get 50 ml. Okay, so this is what we use to, the thing we use lah whenever we want to prepare an experiment. But this is what we use whenever we need to do measurement. Okay, so the difference is here. So pipette is not accurate lah. Not accurate as it is used to measure fixed volume. Okay, so burette is more accurate lah. Okay, and it is used to measure volume. of liquid. Okay, so the difference is here. One comes with measuring the volume of liquid accurately. The other one comes with measuring the volume in a fixed value. Okay, okay. So in BM, lebih tepat dan digunakan untuk mengukur isi padu cecair. Okay, tidak tepat dan digunakan mengukur isi padu yang kekal. Fixed volume. So the difference is here. Just memorize. Just not to say memorize. Just remember. Pipette is used to measure fixed volume. Burette is used to measure accurate volume. All right. So question number 8. Okay, this one is about prefixes. Okay, if we talk about prefix, right? Usually it will be a trouble. Okay, it will be a trouble to Form 1 students. Okay, how do you memorize the prefixes? Okay, we have a method. In case you don't know lah, I just share it to you. Okay. It helps you to memorize. Okay. Not to say like memorizing everything lah. Okay, in a fixed way. Okay, we have a trick to memorize this thing. So you can see I have a pink box in here. Okay, the pink box, right, is actually a kind of middle point. Okay, we just assume the pink box deci as a middle point, which is -1. Okay, so imagine you are sitting in a lift. Okay, you are in a lift. So now the lift is going up, so the value become bigger. The lift is going down, the value becomes smaller. Okay, grab the concept. And then the trick is here. -1, 2, 3, 6, 9. 1, 2, 3, 6, 9. Okay, so upper 1, 3, 6, 9. Just memorize according to the sequence 1, 2, 3, 6, 9 and upper 1, 3, 6, 9. Okay, and followed by their names. How about their names? Okay, so the -1 has a name of D, deci. So just remember, go up is DKMG. So go up is DKMG, go down is DCMMN. So the M here, right? We got two M's. One is milli, the other one is micro. The micro, you adjust a bit lah. The way you write micro is like this one. Okay, so I demo one time for you. How do we use this trick on this question? So basically, whenever it comes to like something like this, right? Wow, got so many different prefixes. Okay, then how? We use back the method lah. D as the middle point, -1. Okay, -1, -2, -3, 6, 9. 1, 2, 3, 6, 9. And then upper is 1, 3, 6, 9. Followed by their respective alphabets. So D, C, M, M, N. And you go up is D, K, M, G. Okay, the DKMG goes to capital letter because the value is become bigger. Okay, value become bigger, then you use big letter lah. Alright, so DCMMN and DKMG. What does this figure meant to be? Okay, so I gave you the figure here, right? It's like what? -1, -2, 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9. Okay, it is bringing a message about the number of zero. The number of zero. Let's say, okay, your number of zero is 3, which means you have to multiply by 3 zeros. So if let's say the number given is 1, right? You multiply by 3 zeros, you get 1000. Okay, how about negative? If negative, right, it means divide. Okay, if 1 divide by 10, which means 10 lah. So the decimal point has to move forward ma. The answer becomes 0.1 lor. If let's say the figure, right, I choose micro. Micro means -6, which means my figure 1 has to divide 6 zeros. Okay? Negative means divide, positive means multiply. So if I divide by 6 zeros, my decimal point has to move forward for 6 times. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the answer will be 0. Okay, I got 5 zeros after my decimal point. Correct or not? Correct lah. Okay, so this method is a thing. Okay, help you to remember it easily. Okay, not just like giga, mega, kilo, deci, centi, milli, micro, nano. You memorize, but it cannot enter your brain one. Okay, very hard to memorize lah. So you use deci as a middle point. Okay, as a middle point, 1369. Go down 12369. So when it comes to the question, right? Okay, let's see. We take a look on this thing first. Meter into cm. So ask yourself, meter means what? Meter means there's no prefixes. Okay, because there is no any centi, milli, micro, or nano, there's no any prefixes, just meter only. Okay, so it comes with cm. Cm means centi. Where is your centi? This is your centi. Okay, so centi means -2. -2 means what? Okay, it means you are going to use divide. Correct or not? But look at the question. Okay, now you are going to use meter into cm. So the value is going to change from a big value to a small value. Okay, whenever big value go to small value, right? We use what? We use multiply. Okay, I give you an example. Let's say kg into gram. We do multiplication, correct or not? Gram to kg, we use division. So the concept is here. Whenever a thing comes from big value to small value, we do multiply. Whenever a thing comes from small value to big value, we do divide. So how many zeros you need to involve? It depends on what is a number. Okay, centi, you got 2 zeros. So 0.3 meter times 100 because centi has 2 zeros. Okay, so meter to centi, you move the decimal places 2 times no? Equals to 30 cm. Can Okay, second example, Kelvin to mega Kelvin. Kelvin to mega Kelvin is different. Okay, Kelvin has no prefixes. Okay, and then mega Kelvin is 6 zeros. Okay, so no prefix means what? It means here. Now your value changed from small to big. Okay, small value to big value. Then we are not using multiply anymore. We use divide. So divide, how many zeros do I need to put? 6 zeros because mega has 6 zeros. Okay, so I just divide 6 zeros and the answer will be 7 mega Kelvin. Okay, just figure out how many zeros in difference lah. Okay, so let's have a look on this thing. Okay, meter into nanometer. Okay, nano is where? Nano is here ma. Okay, the smallest prefix ever, nano. Okay, so meter into nanometer. So 0.000, wow, so many zeros. Okay, so now you are going to change from big value to small value. So we use multiply. Okay, you multiply by 9 zeros. Okay, because nano shares 9 zeros ma. Then I multiply by 9 zeros. Then your answer will be what? You move backwards lah. Okay, you move your decimal places backwards. Okay, for 9 times. Then you got your answer 9 nanometer. Okay, but if let's say, okay, you are going to change from prefix to prefix. Just now we changed from non-prefix to prefix, right? Okay, so if now kg change to milligram, then how? Same thing lah. Where is your kg? Kilo come from here. Your milli comes from here. Okay, how many zeros in different? Ask yourself lor. Okay, so kilo has 3 zeros. Milli has 3 zeros. So total, you have 6 zeros in difference. Okay, so you are going to involve 6 zeros, and now you are going to change from big value to small value. So we are going to use multiply. Okay, 0.006 kg times 6 zeros. Okay, because the differences between these two value, right? Between these two prefixes has 6 zeros. Okay, kilo got 3 zeros, milli got 3 zeros. So different is 6 zeros. Then the answer is 6,000. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6,000 milligram. Okay, so this is how we deal with the question comes with prefixes. Okay, if you feel like I don't want to memorize all the words, right? You can try my method lah. Okay, use deci as the middle point, and you figure out the upper value and lower value. You write down in advance. It help you to find out how many zeros you need to involve in your calculation. Okay, no question Okay, no question. Then we go to question number C. Okay, this one you skip too simple already. Okay, then we go to question number C. Okay, Puan Aina wants to make a dress. Okay, so she need 4 arms length of cloth. Okay, so basically using your arm as a measurement is not accurate lah. Okay, so can she get the required length of cloth and why? So the answer is no. No. Okay, you get 1 mark. Why? Because everyone has different arm's length. Correct or not? Your arm and my arm has different length. So this is why she will never get the required length of cloth. Okay, so everyone has different arm length. Okay, tidak. Setiap orang mempunyai panjang lengan yang tidak sama. Okay, the word lengan for those who use BM, the word lengan is referring to the arm. Okay, suggest a better way to measure the correct length. Okay, if I replace the arm's length as a measurement, okay, so suggest another method. Okay, and you state the advantage of using the method. Basically, you can say ruler. Okay, why? Because ruler is more accurate. Okay, it is standard and more accurate. Okay, pembaris ia lebih tepat. Alright, so you see the way to answer, right, is not repeating the question and write down the answer. It's okay, you just write down the answer, straight to the point. You still score the mark lah. Alright, then we proceed to this one. This one a lot of people they don't know, okay, how to calculate this one. Okay, so Again, what is the meaning of sensitivity? All right. So sensitivity means what? It means you are able to detect small changes in measurement. Okay. You are able to detect small changes in measurement. This is what I meant by sensitivity. Okay. So the ability to detect small change in measurement. So who is more sensitive among voltmeter and digital voltmeter? Of course, it's digital voltmeter lah, because it is more sensitive mah. I mean, because it is able to give more detailed measurement mah. So it is more sensitive lah. Alright. So, okay, kepekaan. Kebolehan untuk mengesan perubahan kecil dalam pengukuran. All right. So which voltmeter will you choose? Okay, justify your choice. Okay, the word justify means what? Justify means explain lah. Explain your decision. Why would you choose the voltmeter? Okay, so basically we'll choose digital lah. Okay, so the reason behind is because it is more accurate and more sensitive. Full stop. So this one quite simple. I'll just skip lah. Okay, so we'll always choose digital over the traditional one because it is more sensitive and more accurate. So the point is B. Okay, for this part, right? It's about what? It's about micrometer screw gauge. And it comes with two options, without wire and with a wire. So before we talk about this, right? We have to roughly know how to calculate, how to measure lah, how to measure using a micrometer screw gauge. Okay, so the theory works in this way. You have to you have to turn this thing. Okay, you have to roughly turn this thing, and whenever you turn this part, right, uh, this stick, right, will move forward. Okay, you turn the end part of the screw gauge, the stick will start move forward, and it will clip the steel plate. Whenever you turn until the stick completely attached to the steel plate, okay, and you cannot turn anymore, then you can start taking your reading already. Okay, so it is turned upwards one. The thing is turning upwards one. Alright? And whenever you turn until it completely attached, you cannot turn anymore, then you can start take your reading already. So how to take reading? We got two sections. One is your main, one is your sub. Main ruler and sub ruler. Okay, so basically, whenever we take reading, right, we always follow the vertical line. So this is your vertical line. Okay, so we need to take the pink arrows reading. Okay, so we need to get your main ruler first. So your main ruler is until where? Until here mah. Until this part. So what is this figure? Okay, your main is equals to 2.5. How about your sub? Your sub is referring to the horizontal one. Okay, horizontal line. But why? Because you see, as I said, the entire reading, right, is actually the pink line, the pink arrow. But you see, the pink arrow is covering until here. Okay, your red arrow as the main scale is covering until this part only. You will see there's a gap that is not included in the calculation. This gap is not included in the calculation. So how to calculate this gap? Okay, to calculate this gap, we need to calculate your subscale. So to get subscale, you take the horizontal reading lah. So your horizontal reading refers to how much? 0.21. Okay, you sum up them together, main scale plus subscale, you get your answer. 2.5 plus 0.21, the answer is 2.71 mm. So this is how we do calculation on the micrometer screw gauge. Okay, so red color means your main scale, orange color means your subscale. You sum up them together, you'll get the pink color arrow answer. All right, understood? Okay, then we proceed to this thing. We take a look on this thing with a wire, which means after you clip the wire already, right? You turn until it is fully attached to the wire. Okay, you start measuring the thickness. Same thing lah. This is your main scale. And then this is your subscale. Main plus sub mah. Then the actual reading that we wanted to take is what? The pink arrow. Okay, the pink arrow will be the reading that we need. So, how about your main scale? Your main scale is giving you the reading until here only. I use different color lah. Red color. Okay, so this is your main scales reading until here only. So what is this figure? Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8. But not just 8 because we got one arrow until here mah. So it is 8.5. So your main scale is 8.5, while your subscale, you look it horizontally. Okay, because subscale is looking for the gap. Correct or not? So 0.37, 35, 36, 37. Alright, so the subscale is 0.37. You sum it up together, you get your answer 8.87 mm. This is how we calculate the micrometer screw gauge. But the thing is here, okay, why you have to go through the measurement first before we talk about the errors. Okay, you see, without a wire, right? Without a wire, the zero is not tally to the line. Okay, usually when it comes to micrometer screw gauge or your vernier caliper, usually the zero has to match with the line. Okay, where this part. Usually zero has to match with the line. Okay, without clipping anything, without anything being measured the zero has to be tally one. But when without anything, right? Without anything attached, the zero is not tally already. This one is what we so-called zero error, which means the zero is having some error. Okay, and then we need to do adjustment. So how to do adjustment? Okay, so you have to ask yourself, am I over-calculated or miscalculated? So just like I say what? For micrometer screw gauge, right? You spin up. Correct or not? You turn the thing whenever you start taking the measurement. You turn the thing up. Okay? So whenever you turn the thing up, right? The way you take measurement is in this direction. So before you start taking calculation, the zero is here. Okay, and you can see there's a gap. This is the gap. Okay, so this gap is over-calculated already. Okay, positive zero error means over-calculated. Because why? Before you start taking measurement, this part is already inside your answer. It is already included. So it is over-calculated already. Meanwhile, for this one, right, you see, before I start calculation, okay, my zero is above the line, which means for this gap, I did not include in my calculation. I miscalculated it already. Okay, I did not include this part in my calculation, so I miscalculated already. Then you have to ask yourself based on your logic, if I over-calculated, okay, what should I do? Over-calculated, then I have to deduct out ma. Correct or not? So I deduct this thing out from my reading. Okay, so you see how to get the actual reading. The actual reading means what? We take the reading minus zero error. So let's say lah, the reading is 3.17. This one is include the error already. Then I need to do adjustment. Okay, so I need to minus the positive zero error. Okay, so your mathematic has to function lah. Okay, negative positive become negative ma. So your final answer is 3.16. Okay, which means you over calculated already. You deduct the extra calculated figure out. So let's say you are doing miscalculation. Okay, you miscalculate the figure already. So negative negative is positive. So your answer is 3.19 mm. Okay, so this is what happens. You miscalculated, you add it back into the reading. Can ah? Okay, so we have a look back to this question. Okay, so this question is showing you without a wire. Okay, the zero is not tally. So we are having the error, which is called as zero error. So what is the difference between the gap here? So 0, 1, 2, okay, 1, 2, 3. So the difference between the gap is 3. So it is 0.03 mm. This is the figure that we need to adjust. But ask yourself, am I over-calculated or miscalculated? So you see, before I start taking the reading, right, I did not include this part in my calculation because the reading always starts from 0. Okay, the reading always starts from 0. So I did not include this part in my calculation. So I am miscalculating the thing. So miscalculated means negative zero error. Okay, I need to put a negative here because later we need to put it into the format. All right, so name the type of error. So this error is what is so called zero error. Okay, so in BM is what is so called Ralat Sifar. Very important. I explained for so long time. Okay, it's because this thing is super important. Okay, your exam will be coming out with this thing. Zero error Ralat Sifar. Very often lah, I would say. Okay, state the value in B1. The value in B1 means the zero error. Okay, negative 0.03 mm. And it is miscalculated, so you have to put negative in front. Okay, how can the error B1 be avoided? Okay, to avoid the to avoid the zero error, you can do few things. Either you change another new micrometer screw gauge, okay, or you do adjustment. So I just simply write, okay, adjust the figure after measurement. Okay, to avoid the error, you can adjust lah. Okay, the figure after measurement. In BM, I try to give you different answer. Okay, I would say, okay, use micrometer screw gauge without zero error. Okay, micrometer tanpa ralat sifar. Okay, so what is the thickness of the wire with the error? So with the error means with a wire and with the error. So we went through the calculation just now, 8.87. We just fill in the blanks, 8.87 mm. If let's say the question asks you to give the actual thickness, then we have to insert the format already. So let's say 8.87 is your reading. You have to deduct the zero error. Okay, so deduct the zero error. So it is a fixed format, huh? You cannot skip this thing one. You cannot like simply make it into positive. You'll lose the mark one. So you have to follow the format negative, negative 0.03. So the answer will be 8.87 plus 0.03. So 8.9 mm will be the thickness. Okay, so this is how we go through the adjustment of zero error lah. No question ah. Okay, so you can try it out with the vernier caliper. It comes with the same thing as well. Just ask yourself whether am I over-calculated or miscalculated, and you start doing the calculation part. Okay, so we proceed to question 11. Okay, this one will be last question in your chapter 1 lah. Okay, this one is a concept, okay, of density. Okay, so basically the question asks you to calculate a volume of cork using millimeter. Okay, milliliter, sorry. Okay, so name the method used. Now we are going to use water to measure the volume. Using water to measure the volume, we have a name for this method. The name you have to go through, quite important as well. It is called as water displacement method. Okay, water displacement method in BM is called as kaedah sesaran air. Okay, so what scientific principle was used to find out the volume of solid? Okay, so basically, the concept here we are going to use, right, is ml equals to cm cube. The volume of liquid can be used to measure volume of solid. Okay, so volume of liquid is used to measure volume of solid. Full stop. Okay, so isi padu cecair digunakan untuk mengukur isi padu pepejal. So pepejal in English means solid lah. Okay, so the question asks you to calculate the volume of cork. So now you got 39 ml before having the cork. After having the cork, it is 42 ml. So you do your simple calculation lah. 42 ml minus 39 ml. Okay, you got 3 ml in difference. So 3 ml in difference means 3 cm cube in difference. So the volume of cork is 3 cm cube. Okay, if I'm being too fast, you can stop me. Alright, so no problem. I proceed to the next part. This one you have to know about density. Okay, so density means what? Density in a way easier to understand. It means for each cm cube, how many gram will be allocated? Okay, for each volume, how many for each volume, okay, how many mass can be allocated? So the calculation comes from here, gram divided by cm cube. So which means each cm cube, how much of gram you'll get. Okay, so the calculation comes from here, then the formula it is density equals to mass divided by volume. So your mathematics has to function a bit. You have to change the formula a bit because sometimes the question will ask you to give density, sometimes will ask you to calculate mass, sometimes ask you to calculate volume. So, okay, volume equals to mass divided by density as well, because in fraction, these two figures can terbalik one. Okay, so mass equals to density times volume, because divide, you put it to the opposite. okay, it becomes multiply. So these three things you have to play around lah. Okay, so for example, 4.95 now wants you to calculate about the density. Okay, equals to mass divided by volume. So the answer is 0.9 lah. Okay, so for this plastic cube, right? The question wants you to calculate about volume. So you are going to use 60 divided by 0.8 because volume equals to mass divided by density. Okay, so 60 divided by 0.8, the answer is 72. Okay, 72. Simple mathematics lah. Okay, if let's say iron ball, now you know calculate mass Mass equals to density times volume. So the answer is 240 gram. So once you get this kind of answer, right? Okay, down here they ask you to draw and label the observation. Okay, so basically you got three things: plastic cube, water, and iron ball. So in respect, you have to roughly draw lah. Okay, this is water, this is the plastic cube. Because plastic cube has a lower density, so you have to know lah, lower density will float, higher density will sink. Okay, so the iron ball will be the down part. Okay, so don't forget to give labeling. Okay, don't forget about this thing. Water, plastic ball. Okay, if possible lah, you put the unit beside as well. Okay, you put unit beside as well, if possible. If got time, you do this thing. If don't have time, right? Not enough time lah. You just ignore. Remember to do labeling. At least you need labeling. Okay, so down here, we got more question. Give one inference for the observation. Okay, inference means what? Inference means reason. Okay, for this thing, later I'll spend the rest time to do experiment question. So, in case you guys don't have this thing, right? Okay, please take a screenshot. It's plastic cube. What have written? Oh, plastic ball. Okay, plastic cube. Thanks for reminding. Okay, so in case you guys don't have this thing, right? Please take some time to take a screenshot. Okay, it's actually a basic format that we are going to use in that experiment. Very frequently used one. So later on, right, you'll see all the experimental question, right? Their answers are based on here. Okay, so this one is BM. And basically, you learn this thing in primary school already. Okay, we just switch language into English. The format is actually same. So, done So anyone need English, English format is here. Okay, so meanwhile, in the time you take screenshot, right? Okay, look at this thing. Inference. Okay, we went through inference just now. Okay, observation means what you see, Okay, what you see, what you write. But inference means you give reason. Okay, usually whenever you answer in inference, right, the format is observation happens because of a reason. Okay, because of a reason. So, of course lah, you guys must be very, very familiar on the variables. Okay, manipulated variables, responding variable, constant variable. You must be very familiar on this thing. Okay, so if you don't know, you have to voice out because I think this one comes from primary school, should be okay, right? We just need some practice later. Okay, so down here, if you need, just take a screenshot lah. Okay, so your exam, right, will be coming out at least one experiment question. So since it is format based, right, I see inference. How do we answer? Observation plus because. Okay, your primary school, right? Usually your teacher don't let you to write because in your inference. But secondary school, it doesn't matter. Just write because. Okay, so how do you answer this thing? Let's say iron ball sink in water because what reason? Because it is denser. Because it is denser. Or else you want to say because it has a higher density. Also can. Okay, so bola besi tenggelam. For those who use BM, right? Tenggelam and terapung, you have to know lah. Sink and float. Okay, dalam air sebab ia lebih tumpat. It is denser. So the format comes from here. Iron ball sinks in water. It is actually the observation because it is denser. Okay, the it is denser means reason lah. All right. So for the rest part, you can try to go through by yourself. I'll focus more on the experiment question. Okay. Just let's take a look on your question 13. Okay. So question 13. So basically I won't go through these words lah. Okay, too wordy already. So we just look at the question. A. State the manipulated variable. Okay. So manipulated variable means what? Means the thing that is different in the experiment. What is the thing that is different in the experiment? So, roughly read a bit. Okay. Design a simple experiment to study the relationship between number of swing and the mass of pendulum bob. Okay, which is the same period of time for the two boys swinging. So basically, manipulated variable means what? Look at the table here. If your primary school teacher ever teach you about this, right? Okay, usually whenever they give you a table, okay, the left hand side is always manipulated variable. Okay, and the right hand side here is always be responding variable. So left MV, right RV. Usually it happens on table. So just copy lah the manipulated variable and responding variable. So it comes with what? Mass of pendulum bob. Okay. So in BM is what? Jisim pendulum. Okay, Jisim bola pendulum. Okay. So why should the average swing be calculated? This one is not in the format lah. Okay, it's your common sense. Okay, because the reading is not constant. Okay, the reading is not constant. That's why we take average lah. Okay, so why should the average swing be calculated? Okay, because each reading is different. Okay, sebab setiap bacaan berbeza. Alright, so you plot a graph, blah blah blah. Okay, this one, plotting a graph is not in your part. Your exam will not ask you to plot a graph or whatever. Okay, so we just skip this one. Okay, so what is the relationship? Alright, back to the format given. Whenever we answer relationship, we use hypothesis format to answer. So hypothesis is what format? The more, the less. Okay, the what manipulated variable, the what the responding variable. So look at this thing. What is the relationship between your manipulated variable and responding variable? Can you see this relationship? The heavier the mass, okay, the higher the mass, right? Okay, the smaller the reading, the smaller the number of swing. Correct or not? Okay, the heavier the mass of pendulum bob, the smaller the number of swing. Or I say the less the number of swing also can lah. The lesser the number of swing. Okay, so we use the to answer. So the higher, the greater, the more, the heavier, whichever lah also can. Okay, so I would say the greater the mass lah. Pendulum bob, the the smaller, the lesser also can. Okay, the lesser the number of swing. Full stop. Okay, so in PM the format goes in the same way. We use semakin semakin. Semakin besar your jisim, semakin kurang bilangan ayunan. Okay, so MV and RV just go through. Okay, uh, one more thing. Yeah, I suddenly recap about this issue. Okay, so a lot of students they take languages too seriously in science. Okay, I have a lot of questions. A lot of students they are struggling about the grammar or tata bahasa. Okay, let me tell you something. Doesn't matter. Okay, forget about the ed, ing, past tense, present tense, singular, plural. Ignore everything about this thing. Okay, you bring out the correct message, you bring out the correct meaning, you get the marks. Okay, so don't be so struggling on the s, the plural, plurals, singular. Okay, it doesn't matter. Don't waste your time on this thing. Okay, focus on the meaning. All right. So determine the number of swing by 36 gram of pendulum bob in the same period of time, which means if we are using 36 gram of pendulum, right, roughly will be here lah. Okay, so averagely this one is 15 and this one is 10. So since the mass is 36, right? So you give answer in between 15 and 10 lah. It will be accepted. Okay, so let's say I write 13. 13 12 14 can be accepted. Okay, so this part is not using that much of format. I will proceed to the next question, which is you straight away look at your chapter 2, which is page, wait I roughly scroll a bit. Ah, this one. Wait yeah. Okay, you go to question 14, chapter 2, question 14. Your page 33. This one is actually a complete experiment question, which your exam most likely will ask you something like this lah. Okay, a complete experiment question. So we focus on the format. All right. For chapter 2, right, I roughly tell you what to go through. Okay. Again lah, name, function. Okay, name and function, and their similarity and differences. Okay, especially the animal cell and the plant cell. Okay, and then the systems, the organs, the cell, all the names and function you have to go through. Okay, and then you have to know the cell organization, which is how do we have an organization? It comes from cell. When you have different cells combined together become if you have same cell but few number lah, okay, it combined will become tissue. Same cell combined become tissue. And whenever you got different tissue, it forms into organ. Different organ forms into system. Different system form into an organism. You have to know this organization chart. Okay. And then you have to focus on cell respiration and photosynthesis as well. Okay. So basically this question, especially photosynthesis lah, often comes with experiment question. So, okay, investigate the need of water in photosynthesis. So state one suitable hypothesis. So before you proceed hypothesis, right, we have to go through the MV, RV, and constant variable first. Ask yourself, what is the thing different in this experiment? You can see one comes with water, one without water, right? Okay, so in this particular part, right, we have to use one word. whenever you encounter experiment question, one sample got something, the other sample don't have, right? You use this word, presence. Presence of water. In BM, it is called as kehadiran. Okay, kehadiran air. Alright, so about responding variable is the condition of plant. Okay, condition of plant. Because responding variable means the result that we wanted to know. Okay, we wanted to know whether the plant is doing photosynthesis or not. Okay, or if you want to test whether the plant is doing photosynthesis, you can say the color of leaf after iodine test. Okay, so what is iodine test? Uh, roughly mention you a bit. Iodine, okay, is something we use to test starch. If plant is doing photosynthesis, their leaf will contain starch. If the plant is not doing photosynthesis, then the leaf will not have starch. Okay, so if let's say the leaf got starch, right? Iodine will react with starch and it becomes blue-black color. The leaf will become blue-black color if there is starch in the leaf. If there is no starch in the leaf, okay, the leaf will remain in brown color. Let's say no starch lah. The leaf will remain in brown color. Why? Because iodine is brown color. Okay, so iodine is actually a kind of tester we use to test starch. Got starch, change color. No starch, there's no change. Okay, in color. So responding variable, you can write color of leaf after iodine test. Okay. Warna daun selepas ujian iodine. Okay, how about the constant variable? Constant variable, remember, constant variable not to say like the same thing. Okay, let's say you say the size of pot. The size of pot doesn't really matter lah. Okay, so you say if let's say constant variable lah. Okay, you have to focus on what? Focus on fairness. What is the thing that you must make sure it is same to make sure the experiment is fair? Okay, so something has to be same to make sure experiment is fair. That is what is so-called constant variable. So let's say, okay, you must be using the same plant, correct or not? Okay, if one you use sunflower, the other sample you use, yes, type of plant. Okay, the other sample you use cactus, then the result is not accurate lah, not fair. Okay, so if you say like the type of soil also can. You cannot say that one soil you're using good quality soil, the other soil you're using bad quality. Then it is not fair. Okay, so we got a lot of answers coming up from here. Type of plant. Or else you want to say presence of sunlight also can. You cannot say one I give sunlight, the other one I don't want to give sunlight. Okay, so one comes with sunlight, the other one also comes with sunlight, then only the experiment is fair. So we got a few answers coming from here. Type of plant, presence of sunlight. Okay, you know, say type of soil also can. Okay, few's answer can be accepted lah. Okay, so I would say like journeys to Wuhan lor. Then you proceed to your hypothesis. Okay, so now you ask yourself, can I use the more, the less, the higher, the lower? Okay, can I use the more the presence of water, then the more the color of leaf after iodine test. Okay, we cannot do this thing. All right. So if we cannot use the more the less, right, we have to go through option B. Okay, which means whenever you cannot do measurement, then we do what? We do comparison. Okay, you take two different manipulated variable, which is one with water, one without water. You compare their responding variable. So I give you an example. If you encounter this thing in your exam, right? You see how I write? Uh, A with water, because A ma. Okay, this is my one of my manipulated variable. So A with water will have change in color of leaf after iodine test. I'll just copy lah. Okay, compare to B without water. So the format is coming from here. A with water is one of my manipulated variable. B without water is the other manipulated variable. Okay, I compare what? I compare their responding variable. Okay, so in BM, the same thing as well. A dengan air akan bertukar warna daun selepas hujan iodin berbanding B tanpa air. So if lah, you ask yourself, your logic cannot be like using the more, the less, right? Then we do comparison. Okay, why cannot use the more, the less? Okay, because common sense lah. If you put too much of water in a plant, right, the plant will also die one. Correct or not? So we cannot say the more the water you're going to use, then the more color the more the color change. Okay, the logic is not there. It's not about the amount of water. Okay, it's not about the water, right? Okay, it's about the presence of water. So we do comparison. Okay, whenever you cannot use the more, the less, then we do comparison. Okay, this one you need some logic lah. Okay, so state one observation based on the experiment above. Okay, so what observation you can write. Okay, so basically you can say leaf A will turn blue black after iodine test. Okay, the color will change to blue-black color after iodine test. Why? Because after you water the plant, only the plant can do photosynthesis. The plant without water, right, cannot do photosynthesis. No photosynthesis, no starch, color will not change. Okay, got photosynthesis, got starch, color will change. So it's just simple in this way. Okay, bertukar ke biru tua selepas ujian iodine. Alright? So, give your inferences based on the result that you have written above. Alright? So, inference means reason ma. Okay? So, the leaf will turn blue-black after iodine test. Why it will turn blue-black? Because of what? Because of water. Okay, then the plant can do photosynthesis. Correct or not? So, leaf A turns blue-black after iodine test because presence of water allow photosynthesis. Okay, full stop. So daun A, I just copy lah, aduh. Okay, kerana kehadiran air. Photosynthesis. Alright, so back to the format that was given just now. See, inference, observation because of manipulated variable. So if let's say the question is not experiment, then you write observation because of the reason. Okay, so observation because of your manipulated variable. Presence of water allow photosynthesis. Okay. E, state conclusion for this experiment. So conclusion means what? Means summary. You summarize the entire experiment into one sentence. Okay, it's about what? It's about water. Correct or not? So plant need water to do photosynthesis. That's all. Okay, this is the what is it called? The summary lah. Okay, for the entire experiment. Plant need water to do photosynthesis. Okay. Untuk menjalankan photosynthesis. Full stop. Alright, so basically everything come from here, right? The answers are based on what? Are based on the format. But at least you have to know about the iodine stuff. You have to know about the iodine stuff. If let's say I give you option B, if you really don't know or you forgot about the iodine already and you step into the exam already, okay, we can write about what? If you don't want to write about the color of leaf after iodine test, I give you plan B. You can write condition of plant. Condition of plant. Because common sense, if the plant didn't do photosynthesis, right, the plant will wilt. Correct or not? The other plant with photosynthesis will be more healthier. Okay, so based on this, you can write your own answer as well. Okay, the responding variable got two options. One, you can talk about the leaf. The other one, you can talk about the condition of plant. But manipulated variable cannot change. It must be the presence of water. Okay, so this is the experiment question that might be coming out in exam lah. Okay, of course, this one is one of the examples only. Okay, the question will be given different pattern. Okay, this one is not about water If let's say the question got two sample, one usual plant, the other plant, okay, comes with they put it into a box and then they take away the carbon dioxide. Then the manipulated variable will be presence of carbon dioxide lor. This one you have to roughly take note on this thing. Mention a bit in case you forgot or you don't know. This one. Okay. Potassium hydroxide solution. This thing is used to absorb carbon dioxide. So for this plant, it is lacking of carbon dioxide. So it might be die soon lah. So the other sample exposed to the air, right, will have sufficient carbon dioxide. So the plant outside will do photosynthesis. The plant without carbon dioxide cannot do photosynthesis. So this one you have to take note a bit. Okay, so the experiment went through is this one lah. Okay, show the presence of starch, does not show the presence of starch. Okay, so if you feel like you want to do more experimental question, right, you can go to this question. Question 12. Okay, question 12, right, involves several experimental question, inferences, okay, constant variables. They ask some questions in this way. Okay, try to go through lah. All right. So remember my words. Okay, notes is not your priority. Okay, we always prioritize your exercises. So this is why you can see I keep on spamming questions with you today. Okay, yeah. So if you have any question, right, you're welcome to stay down and ask me. Okay. Otherwise, I wish you all to perform well. Okay, give your best performance in your upcoming exam lah. Okay. So thank you for being with me today and have a good holiday today. Okay. So see you in future if possible. Yeah. Thanks for your time. Bye bye.
Bye bye, teacher.
Okay, bye bye. Fuck，我想